show, and we're going to be doing an end of season keep, loan or sell. Going to be going through the whole squad, including the players coming back from loan. And let's get straight into it, and let's start off with Cuti Romero. And we know exactly what we're doing with Cuti. We know exactly what we're doing with Cuti. That is a big fat keep.
Yeah, keep him for sure. I mean, we're not going to get a centre-back who's better than him right now, in my opinion. I think he, for sure, in terms of quality, when he's on his day, right up there. It's been a weird season for him. Didn't start off so well, and he was making a lot of mistakes. But and then he obviously had that big injury during the season for Argentina, and came back against Chelsea, got injured again. But since he's come back, I think obviously he's had a few problems like in the Premier League, but in the Europa League, been phenomenal in that whole run. Brilliant in the final as well. I think we know when he's at his best, when he's got Van der Ven next to him more often than not, he can be at his best and brilliant. I just think he needs to believe this club wants to win things as much as he does. Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem. You've seen him go up the board saying, look how the other clubs improve and stuff like that. And I think when that seeps into his mind and he can switch off a bit, lose concentration, then the problems come. But when he's switched on and fully bought in, he's a brilliant player.
I think it says a lot as well with the rumours that we've heard come out in terms of his future being alive to Ange Postecoglou, and you're talking about a born and bred winner who's played, different kind of systems and won the World Cup, Copa America twice, and Argentina have their own style of play, don't they? But I feel like with him coming out, well, not coming out and saying it, but the press kind of leaking that kind of information, I think it's quite significant in terms of Ange Postecoglou as well.
Yeah, and how he's a winner, Romero, and that's what he sees in Ange clearly.
Next up, we're going to look at Wilson Odobert. I mean, there is a slight case to say loan, because I still feel like he needs to be developing at a faster rate, but I'm going to say keep.
Yeah, keep, for sure. It's been, again, we're probably going to be saying this to a lot of players, it's been a weird season for him where he's just barely played. He's played 18 games in all, but he played, 1 or 2 games, got a massive hamstring injury, was out for 6 weeks, came back, picked up another hamstring injury, then out for 3 months. And then he's come back, and ever since he's come back, he's just been managing that situation. Obviously, he's had a few bright moments like RZ and a few good cameos against Forest, played a decent game. But unfortunately, yeah, it's been difficult for him. But I think we've seen enough flashes that I think this guy, once he gets going, is going to be a good player for us.
That's the problem. It's only been flashes, really.
Yeah, but we've only seen literally flashes of him on the pitch. That's just the reality. Like, if he was starting all throughout the season, as I keep saying, he's a young player. He needs time to just adapt to us and adapt to a higher quality. He's been playing at Burnley, but this is now more expectation. It's different. He's had 18 games, not even played 20 games. He's had this kind of adaptation now, like between March and where he's played quite a bit. So hopefully from next season he can really hit the ground running. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, and he does remind me a bit of Aaron Lennon with his running style and his direct play and his willingness to take on his fullback and stuff. But yeah, I still think he's got a lot of developing to do. That's for sure. Next up, we are going to look at.
We said
keep for Odobert. Yeah. Next up, we're going to look at Yves Bissouma. So Yves Bissouma obviously has had, for the most part, a torrid time this season. Came back, a bit of a remontada in the Europa League in the semi-final and the final. Brilliant performances there. But for me, it's going to be a sell. I said sell last summer, and nothing this season has really done. He hasn't done enough to change my mind.
Yeah, I think it's time to move on from Bissouma. Time to get a bit of cash on him. We have to, again, be a bit ruthless this summer with, we've got a bit of a bloated squad and we've got players that we just need to be ruthless about. And I think he's one of them. A good player. I think he's definitely a Premier League player. And on his day, we can see how good he is. Unfortunately, we just haven't seen it consistently enough for a number of years now. He loses concentration at big moments as well. And had a great end of the Europa League run, but I think it's time to just get a bit of money for him.
Kevin Danso next. Obviously, he's just coming in January, so I think this is just an easy keep. But in terms of having a backup centre-back of this quality, it's so valuable, man. I don't think we've ever had it before.
Yeah, I think he's been really good when he's come in. I do think he's played like he's been a backup centre-back, in my opinion, though, rather than someone who's actually going to push Romero and Van der Ven. I have to say that. I like him. I think he fits the system. But there's just things he definitely has to improve on. I think it's similar to Romero. He can be a bit rash sometimes, which is fine. It just means he's aggressive, but, sometimes he misses things. And also his passing. He's a brave passer and he's a confident passer and he passes forward, but the weight of pass has to just be worked on massively. He smacks it at players when he doesn't need to. He needs to have a bit more finesse about his game.
He's a bit rash.
He's a bit rash, and he sometimes dribbles his way into trouble out the back when there are better options. So I think there's something there, something to work with, and he's got good quality and good attributes to fit how we play, but there's definitely stuff that he needs to work on.
What I love about having him on the bench is that, like against Manchester United, and there was a couple other occasions where we're trying to hold on for a lead in the last 20 minutes, you bring him on, change up the system, go 3 at the back. That's probably where his best performances have come from.
Yeah, and he's good aerially, and that's what I like. Yeah, so when we're having an aerial bombardment, as much as I like Romero and Van der Ven, aerially is not their strong suit. So when you have like that, it's good to have on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Lucas Bergvall up next. I mean, everyone knows what we're doing for Lucas Bergvall.
Yeah.
Player of the season, young player of the season, the darling of Tottenham Hotspur right now. Such a shame for him and us that he got injured just before the cup final, because he would have absolutely dominated that game. But we all know what we're going to do with him.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. And I'm just so excited next season that we'll have that Bergvall that's broken into the team in the second half of the season from the start. And he's a special talent. He's been brilliant. As you say, gutting he got that injury. But he'll only hopefully make him hungry for next season. What a first season for him. I know he could have played, I don't know how much he would have played at Barca this season, but he picked us. He's become a Premier League regular, won a Europa League. I'm sure he's loving it at the moment.
Next one is Matisse Tell, and I think this is going to be a really difficult one. Obviously, we can't sell him or loan him because he is only on loan himself, but we're going to take it, as it is. So if we're going to send him back, we're going to say sell. But in my opinion, it's sell. I don't think he's done enough from coming in until now to really warrant us spending money on him. There is a clause for about 50 million euros. There is some suggestions that we're going to try and barter that down to something like 25 to 30, something around that figure. But still, the money, I don't really take the money into account too much. I'm looking at taking this squad onto the next level for next season in the Champions League, and I just don't think he does that.
It's a really, really tough one. It is a really tough one because the guy he's 19. Before we signed him, we were very excited. He's a top talent, one of the top. When he was breaking through at Bayern, he was seen as one of the top talents in Europe. Got Champions League experience as well because he's played there for Bayern quite a bit. And for a 19-year-old, you can clearly show that this guy's got serious potential. And I think we've seen flashes of it. We've seen bits of it at Tottenham as well. It's a difficult situation he's come into. He came into the team playing up front in an injury-ravaged team, was struggling there. Then he's kind of been demoted to the second team because kind of Son or even Richarlison has been more trusted in the Europa League team, and he's kind of been in that Premier League team where we're playing our second 11, and that's also been difficult for him. Albeit, I think Frankfurt away, he started and did all right, so it's not like he hasn't been able to fit into those teams. He had a good game there, so the reality is it might just be a case of right player, wrong time for him. Kind of, if we were in a different situation, maybe you could say, okay, you give him another year, even maybe loan him or sign him on a cheaper deal and trusted him. But right now we do have quite a few wingers and we do have to make tough choices, and he might just have to be another tough choice. Look, if we're convinced by him behind closed doors,
that's what the suggestions are,
and we really want him. We think, look, he hasn't maybe shown his best, but you look at some other players who've taken a bit of time to adjust, and now he's adjusted. He's going to be he will hit the ground running with certain next season. I'm happy to sign him, and I don't really want to let him go. But if I was making a hard choice right now about do we sell it, do we not sign him, and then really just go for a high caliber winger, or do we trust in him to kind of be that player, I would probably go in another direction. That's what I would do. But it's not to say I don't think he could potentially be that player, but at the moment we just haven't seen enough evidence of it.
Yeah, and how long have we got to wait? We've got so many players that are in this kind of, in this kind of court where, they're not there just yet and they need development. And we can't have so many of them. It's just a bit nuts. And, Odobert's exactly in the same ballpark as him, as Matisse Tell. And we can't have both of them pretty much in the same position. So, in my opinion, we need to send Tell back and get someone more established in that position.
But would you be unhappy if we signed him?
I would be a bit frustrated. It would frustrate. I just get so frustrated watching Tell because it looks like he's got such good attributes and it looks like he can be a good player. But then when he gets in front of goal, he fluffs his lines so often.
If you give him a pre-season, you get
there's a potential for it. For sure, there's a potential for it, but it's a massive gamble.
It's a gamble, yeah. It's probably more of a gamble than signing a different player for bigger money. Probably, yeah, for sure.
So I think for this case, I think we're both going to say sell, yeah?
Yeah.
Next up is Mikey Moore. Mikey's the interesting one, 17 years of age. For his age, he's had a brilliant season. Europa League, in the group stages, he was brilliant. Scored his first goal for the football club. Youngest ever Europa League winner as well. With Mikey, with us being in the Champions League now and not being in Europa League, I think the best course of action for his development is to send him on loan, to be honest. I think get some consistent minutes in him, week in, week out, whether it be in the Championship or, even if a lower league, Premier League team are willing to take him on. But I think I think that would be the best course of action for his development.
I agree. If we were in Europa League again, I think maybe keep him and have those games. But I just don't think playing him in Champions League and then playing him in Premier League is fair on him right now. I think he still just needs to develop a bit more to be ready to play that consistently. Clearly, he's shown he's got the ability to play at that level, just not consistently every week and all the time. And he just needs to a bit more development, I think.
But it's different, right? Playing in the group stages of the Europa League against the likes of Ferencvaros and Alkmaar and Elfsborg to go in and play week in, week out in the Premier League. It's like a completely different kettle of fish.
I think we need to give Mason a call, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Send him to Ryan Mason at West Brom. That's why I say.
He'll look after him. He'll know how he wants to play. So I do think he'll be good. He should be good enough for a Championship loan, though. I do believe that.
Yeah, I agree. And you're looking at it, and for my opinion, send him out, a good year of development to come back into the first team the following year. That's what I think. Next up is Richarlison. Yeah, I mean, I like Richie. I've been one of his biggest backers, to be honest. But unfortunately, I think his time at the club is probably up. I feel like he is a good player, but it's just the injuries, man. The injuries just frustrate me so much. It's just non-stop with him. Just literally non-stop since he's come. And I do think he's got a value, but I think it's probably time to move him on.
I agree. With Richie, I think he's shown when he's been on the pitch, he has value to us and he can be a good player. And when he's in that mode where he's rotating with Solanke and he's coming in or even playing with Solanke, I think he's a good player and he's shown that he can be a good player. And obviously we signed him from Everton for 60 million because he was good for Everton as well. But just the reality is, for the last 2 seasons, it's been absolute disaster for him on the injury front. And even the first season, he was struggling with injury as well. And it's just a case of we kind of gave it another year to see if we can get him on the pitch. And it's not only have we not, it's gotten worse. And I think he's played less this season than he did even last season. He's played 18 games, I think, this season, which is the same as Odobert, right? So it's just hard to then, off the back of that, justify keeping him again and trusting him again to see if he can stay fit. Now, again, if the club really believe that he can stay fit, I think he can be a good player. And I think, if he can stay fit, he would have a value in this squad. But if we got good money for him, if we got a good offer, I think I would sell and just try and get someone who's just a bit more reliable on the pitch.
Yeah, and I think going back to Everton, for them to make him the marquee signing, first year in the new stadium, all that, with the new owners, I think we can get probably a decent amount for him. So I think it'll be a match made in heaven, to be honest. Go back to somewhere he's loved as well.
Agreed.
Next up, Will Lancashire. So he's gone out to West Brom this season. Hasn't been a good loan spell for Will, to be honest. A few sub appearances here and there. Rarely started a game. Hasn't got any goal contributions to his name. He's taken part in 11 games this season. Majority of those are like last 5 minutes, 10 minutes in games. So obviously in the under-21s the year before, he got he was our top goal scorer, looked really good. I don't want to disregard that so easily. So for me, I think another loan spell.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think he's ready for Premier League just yet. Even Championship, unfortunately, didn't go great. So he needs to prove it at that level. But I think clearly he's got potential, but he just needs to kind of learn how to play week in, week out at that like men's football, I think.
Yeah. Ben Davis up next. Dependable Ben, our longest serving player, 10 years at the club. Finally got that trophy. But I feel like it's time probably to move him on. Look, I can't thank him enough for the service that he has given this football club, but we just need to start, getting someone else that can fill in his role, and the quality doesn't go down too much when Mickey ultimately gets injured or needs a rest.
I agree. I think the gap in quality when he comes in, unfortunately, at this point in his career is just too big. And I think we've seen it when he's come in. He has had some good games, don't get me wrong. He can step in sometimes. He's done great. He's been a great servant for us. But for me, he's now, 31, maybe 32. I think when we're asking him to play centre-back, you look at the Premier League, who would he get in? What teams would he get into at centre-back? I just can't think of too many he would. And I think at the moment, we need to be taking this squad on to the next level. And I just think the brutal reality is when he comes on a lot of the time, when he has an extended run in the team, it's just a lot of the time it's holding us back. And I just think we need better, unfortunately, at this point. And good player, great servant. I wish him well, but I think it's time to part ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Radu Dragusin up next. So obviously he did his ACL midway through last season, been out ever since. We have seen him on the grass on his way back, hopefully in line to be back for the start of next season. However, I would say sell for Radu. I would say sell. I don't think he's ever fit the system. And if Ange is to carry on next season, I feel like, and I think he's got a good value in Italy as well. So I feel like he's a player that we can sell.
I would loan him only because right now, after an ACL, his value is probably not where it could be. But if we loan him, he shows a good period somewhere in Serie A, consistent period, playing well, then I think all of a sudden his value goes behind. All of a sudden you get more suitors after him. And then all of a sudden I think it's easier to sell him. I think it might be a bit more. I think you probably can sell him this summer. But I just think maybe after a loan deal, you might get a few more suitors.
Yeah, but what you're saying is ultimately you'd like to sell him, though.
Yeah. I'd probably like to sell him.
Loan with a view to sell.
Probably, yeah. Unless he goes on loan and then really shows something different, which I'm open to as well. But I think as well...
If you look at it as well, right, with the centre-back options that we have, you've got, let's say, for argument's sake, Romero staying. You've got Romero right, Van der Ven left. Dragoshin ain't going to play. We don't want him at left centre-back. We want him at right centre-back. And we got Danso there. So, I prefer Danso to Dragoshin in the system that we play. So,
agreed.
Where does he even fit in? He doesn't fit in.
Yeah, he'd have to play... Yeah, he'd have to... I don't know who would go on the left or right with him and Dragoshin. Probably, I would say Danso probably would go on the left and he'd go on the right in that, because Danso's a bit better on the ball potentially. But, yeah, probably... If we get a good offer, sell, but I also think a loan deal makes sense as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind either way, but ultimately we're pretty much saying a loan with a view to sell. So I think we can pretty much say sell for Radu Dragusin. Pape Matar Sarr next. Not the best season for him. However, I really believe in his qualities. I really believe he can be a top talent in the Premier League and a top player in the Premier League. Like last season, we were talking about him as the best young midfielder in the Premier League. I don't think we're speaking about him in that kind of light anymore. But he's still young and he can still get back to those levels. So I'm saying keep.
Yeah, 100% keep. Look, the guy at his age, the consistency he showed in his first season was phenomenal. And unfortunately, hasn't quite done that this season. But I think needs to be added a bit of context. The fact that he's our most used player in a season where we've had an injury-hit season. He's played 53 games. He's pretty much, been involved in 95 or whatever, 90% of them. And yes, it's been a struggle for him, but he's still young. Young players of his age do go through these periods. It's not completely abnormal for that to happen, especially his last season was his first season really starting regularly in the Premier League. And this season, obviously, we've seen it with other players. I remember Kyle Walker was fantastic when he first broke in, got young player of the year, and then for a couple of years was kind of not doing anything. He was really poor, and we wanted rid until I think Poch came and made him the guy he is. So I think Sarr, maybe this season is just that difficult one for him, but hopefully next season he can kick on again. I think the guy has such high potential, good ceiling. Obviously there's things he needs to improve on, but I think it would be stupid to let him go.
Yeah, and he really showed his value to us in the final, didn't he? Like, I thought he was brilliant that game, and versatile as well, where he went on the right wing and did a really good job for us. So yeah, definite keep for Pape. Next up is Jed Spence. Really good season for him, obviously his best season in a Spurs shirt, and it's an obvious keep for me.
Yeah, breakout season. The fact you can play left back, right back is really valuable as well. Look, this guy at one point it was hard to see how he was going to have a future here, but he stayed. He had a good pre-season. He broke into the team in December. And yes, he came out of the team for the main games kind of later on in the season. But I think he showed his value. He showed what he can do. And I think, you've got an English fullback who can play both sides and to a good extent, and good defensively, fast, strong.
Looks better on the left than he does on the right.
Yeah, at the moment, for sure. So, yeah, he's got to be kept.
Mickey van der Ven, I mean, this is the easiest keep that we're going to do in the whole episode. I mean, what a player he is. The only kind of question mark against him is those hamstrings and those injuries. So as long as we can keep that down to a minimum, he's going to be an unbelievable player for us for a long time. Yeah,
the challenge for him is, can he have a season where he's not out for 4 months? Yeah. And let's hope it's next season. Because if you look, there's been no problem with Van der Ven. He's been brilliant. And literally, you can probably count on one hand the amount of bad games that guy has had in the Tottenham shirt. The guy's been phenomenal. Yes, he's had bad games, but he's a guy still, a 23-year-old centre-back who joined the Premier League when he did. Yeah. 24 now. Phenomenal talent. Just hopefully we've sorted those hamstring injuries now. The fact that we were managing him in the second half of the season the way we did, changing his running style, all these different things. Let's hope he's over these problems. But obviously, until we've seen it and evidence that he's really over it, it's hard to say he is. So the jury's out on it, but let's hope next season can be the season that he's not out for 4 months.
Yeah. So, I mean, having said that on Van der Ven and his hamstrings, and it is concerning that we have to manage him, and hopefully that isn't the case next season. But we do need to bring in someone of that Ben Davies ilk that can play left back and left centre back, that can, help manage the minutes of Van der Ven, and if not, then fill in at left back as well. So I think, like I said before, I think Piero Hincapié, if we can get him, is the perfect one for that. But next up is Destiny Udogie. Obviously, a slow season for him with his injuries, and he never really reached those levels which we saw him at the beginning of last season. However, towards the end of the season, he really got back to those levels, in my opinion. And I felt like fans were starting to question Udogie and the quality of the player, but I feel like he's won a lot of fans back over towards the end of the season.
Yeah, he's had a really strong end, and how he's been playing at the end of the season has reminded us why we were so highly rated him last season and how good he was for large parts of last season. He's also, hard to forget how young he is again, like 22.
Yeah.
So again, he's so young. He's still, new to this league, but he's, getting up to speed. And this season's been difficult for him. Had surgery in the summer, started a lot of games at the beginning, kind of got injured in December, and had to, again, similar to Van der Ven, he had to be managed when he was on his return. But as soon as we got him up to full fitness and he was playing in those big Europa League games, absolutely phenomenal. And if he's in that kind of form, he's one of the best left backs in the league. And with the attributes he has, it's brilliant. So for sure, it's a keep.
Yeah. So Destiny goes into keep. Next up, who have we got? Next up is Pedro Porro. Pedro Porro is an easy keep, in my opinion. Such high quality that this guy has. Best attacking right back in the league now. Trent has gone for sure. And yeah, it'd be silly to think anything but keep for Pedro Porro. Yeah, there are a couple of question marks potentially on his defending, but I still think like he's always getting better at that as well.
Yeah, 100% keep. And I think now, as you said, now Trent's gone, he's actually quite a unique profile in the Premier League now. Not many fullbacks with that kind of ability he has, that kind of quality. His passing range, his crossing, absolutely fantastic. in the end, he did get a pretty decent number of goal contributions again this season. I think he's a great player. I do think, look, defensively, is he the best in the league? No, but is he this big liability that everyone says? I don't believe that. I don't believe he's a bad defender. He's just not the best defender. There are better defenders, but I think that his deficiencies in his defending is offset by how good he is going forward, in my opinion. So, for sure to keep, I think he's one of the best right backs in the league.
Next up is James Maddison. You're never going to win anything in your team with James Maddison there, that's for sure. No, I'm going to say keep Maddison. I think he's had a strong year. I think it's been better. He's improved on what he was last year. So, yeah, unfortunately, he got injured towards the end and didn't make the final. But, yeah, he holds a big value to the team, and it is a bit of a shame that he can't last the duration of games, and he hasn't been able to do that throughout the course of the season. But the quality that he has, and I feel like when he is in the team, he does make us tick.
For sure, I think we're a better team when he's there. I think he's probably the only player we currently have who can really set the tone with his passing and control the pace of a game. We don't have anyone else who can do that, and I think he's really upped his output. First season, his output was quite disappointing. I think it was 3 goals and 8 assists or something, which is should be doing better. Second season though, considering he's been injured for a bit and comes off quite early, 7 goals, 9 assists in the Prem, much better output.
9 goals, 7 assists, yeah.
9 goals, 7 assists, sorry. Much better output, 16 goal contributions. Considering, I don't know, the minutes he's played is probably the equivalent of I don't know how much, but, not that much.
He's been on the bench a bit as well.
Goal contributions per 90 is probably a very high, is my point. So I think he has that magic. He has you still kind of feel like he's got a level to go.
Yeah.
You do get that feeling. And if he can stay fit, maybe we'll see it. Obviously he's got a bad injury at the moment, so he's going to have to recover from that and get back up to speed. Hopefully he's back for the beginning of the season. But I think, yeah, he's got magic in his boots. And you look, whatever people want to say about him, how many number 10s in the Prem are better than him? You maybe got Bruno and Odegaard. De Bruyne's leaving. Not many.
He's had a much better season than Odegaard.
He has, agreed. So, yeah, you got to keep him.
Yeah, I would say with James Maddison, at 28 years of age now, he should be in the prime of his career, playing the best football of his career. So I'm expecting big things for James Maddison next season. And if they don't come, I think there is a conversation to be had at the end of next season.
Agreed.
Next up is Archie Gray. Now, this is an interesting one because, he's done such a good job for us all season, at centre-back, filling in those positions and when we were in the midst of the big injury crisis. But when he's actually played in his natural position, he's been poor. I don't think you can argue against that, which has been disappointing. But when filling in at right back at times and centre back, he's done better there than he has in central midfield. But when you're looking at the makeup of the squad next season, where is he actually going to get minutes? I question where. I mean, maybe he's a good option to have in the squad, but I don't think that does wonders for his development. So I think actually a loan for Archie Gray next season.
Yeah, I'm conflicted on it because I do think having, he's been through this season, hopefully he's developed and learned from a lot of his struggles he's had, especially midfield. And I think having a player like him who can just fill in different positions to a good level is quite important. It reminds me of, it's going to sound like a criticism. But John O'Shea,
that's not a criticism. He's a multiple Premier League champion, and he's won it all.
But when he was younger, O'Shea in his younger years at United, he kind of filled in him in midfield. He filled in at fullback. He filled in at centre back, and they could just plug him in whenever they had a hole. It was never in their best 11, but whenever they had a hole or had a problem, he stepped in everywhere and just was good, right? He was good everywhere. Never let them down. That's kind of feel like what a Gray could be for us.
Yeah, but the thing is, it hasn't come to that. He hasn't been good everywhere. That's the whole point.
The thing. Well, he's young. He's 18.
Yeah.
O'Shea was maybe in his early 20s when that happened. I do feel like if you're looking at next season in midfield, if obviously you got Decky, you got Bergvall, you got Sarr, you got Maddison, you got Bentancur,
plus another.
Plus maybe we're going to sign another one. Is it just worth keep putting him on a Premier League loan? I do think he's a Premier League player.
Leeds are back in the Premier League.
And maybe a loan to Leeds for a year, really help him play Premier League regularly, consistently in his best position, get him fully up to speed. Maybe that's the best course of action because I think I agree with him, when he's played in the midfield, he just hasn't quite been ready for it just yet.
Which is a disappointment because we signed him for 40 million in the summer, last summer. And I kind of expected more from when I saw him in central midfield.
And there was a big clamour for it. That was one of the big criticisms I heard a lot of people say about how he's playing great. Why do you never play midfield? And he plays, and maybe you can see why. I think he has probably been a bit more comfortable at fullback, and even at centre back, you can probably say he's been a bit more comfortable, even when that's not his favourite position. But I think it's a learning curve. It feels very difficult. Got a lot of physical players in there, and especially in the Premier League, it's so kind of helter-skelter in there, so physically demanding. It's been difficult for him to kind of compete with that. Maybe over the summer he develops himself a bit more, and he might be ready for it. But the evidence that we've seen right now is that he's not quite ready for it.
The thing is, if he is going to stay here next season, he's not going to see the consistent football, which I think he desperately needs to further his development. And I think if he can go back to a Leeds just for one more season.
Although he did play, 38 games this season, I think it was.
It's only because we got mad injuries.
It's true, but still, that would help him, the fact he's played so much.
Yeah, it will help him. It will help him. But I still think he needs another season of it, playing in probably his natural position as well. So I'd like to see him go back to Leeds, where he's loved, see him perform there for a year, hopefully get consistent football and come back much better for it. Look, there's no doubt about it. The boy's got so much talent. The boy has got so much talent. So a year of development and come back and absolutely smash it for us. So alone. Next up is Vicario, our number one, Vicario. Yeah, he's been good. He's had a really good season, to be honest. Towards the end in the Premier League, did tail off massively, but was very valuable to us in the Europa League. And when he first came back from his injury, and even in the Premier League, I thought he was brilliant. So a couple of bad performances doesn't sway me off anything, so keep.
Definitely keep. But what I would say for him is he's got to be careful, because I have definitely seen there's been examples of when a keeper's playing quite well, and then they kind of fall off their form a bit, and they just struggle to regain it. And he's got to be careful he doesn't fall into that. Paul Robinson. There's been other examples as well, but he's just got to be careful he doesn't fall into that, where he just allows his level to just drop like that. He's got to make sure he cuts those kind of poor performances out. But to be fair, a lot of people, I think, are using recency bias to say he's been poor or had a poor season, because before the injuries, he was fantastic. Before he got injured, he was fantastic. He actually probably had his best ever game in the Tottenham shirt. The game he got injured against Man City, he was phenomenal in that game. And then he got that ankle injury, came back, had brilliant performances early on, and then for some reason in the Premier League, his performances started to decline. Wolves, he was terrible. Forest, he was terrible. Liverpool, he wasn't great. So he's got to be careful that he doesn't allow those kind of performances to seep in. But, I think it's offset by some brilliant performances in the Europa League. And I think overall his time at Tottenham has been largely very impressive. So I'm happy to move forward with him. But definitely playing out the back and stuff, he's got to improve.
Yeah, and I guess the worry for him as well is that we've got other top quality keepers at this football club. Kinski, up-and-coming keeper who looks really good when he plays. You've got Josh Keeley, who smashed out at Leyton Orient. These guys are going to be knocking on the door.
Yeah, I think Keeley will get into Keeley anyway, but 100% with Kinski, he's shown, I think, when he's come in, yes, he's had some good, bad games, but he's 21, 22, he's a young keeper. But he's shown, if there's things that he can improve on, he does things better than Vicario. So I think if Vicario lets some standards slip and Kinski improves his, Kinski might find himself as number one.
Yeah, exactly. Next up is Brennan Johnson, the man, the hero, top goal scorer this season. I think he holds such a good value within this squad. Just the ability just to consistently get on the goals on the score sheet for us. 18 goals in all competitions this season. So valuable to the team. Yes, we want to see him impact games more, no doubt about it. But I just feel like we need another top right winger to come and challenge him for that right wing spot. But brilliant season for him all in all. So yeah, keep.
Definitely. I think he just needs to keep growing as a player. 18 goals this season, all competitions. Our top goal scorer. That is not to be sniffed at. That's not to be overlooked. I think he's getting in more of those positions. I just think he has to kind of learn how to impact games more and all that kind of stuff. But look, we can say all that stuff, but as long as he's getting that level of goals, if he keeps improving on that goal tally, it's hard to complain, regardless of all the other stuff. So fair play to him. He's done well. He's silenced the critics, the doubters. Want him to, just keep going as he is and just keep scoring. And I think he'll go from strength to strength. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and he's etched his name in the legends of this football club with a winner in a cup final and a European Cup final.
Okay, I guess the fair criticism would be keep doing what you're doing goal scoring, but just be a bit more creative. Create more chances and just be a bit more dangerous on the ball.
Which he was doing last season.
Which he was doing last season.
11 assists last season. Everyone, the criticism was you don't get on the goal scoring. You don't score enough. So now it's like you don't create enough. So if you can merge those two together.
Find a balance.
Yeah. Next up is Big Dom Solanke. And yeah, I think decent first season for him. I think we expected more in terms of goal output and goal contributions. But I still think he does a lot for the team, and we definitely missed him massively when he was out injured. That's for sure. And he helps contribute to the attack so much, and he kind of like gels that attack together. So I'd like to see him contribute more to the goals. But I think decent first season for him is a keep for me.
I agree. I think it's keep. But what I would say is, I just want to see more quality from him in front of goal. But then again, I'm kind of asking for something he's never really shown too much, because beforehand you look at his goal scoring tally. Yes, it's strong, but you look at the goals he scored. It's not really great finishes from tight angles or things like that. It's definitely tap-ins or first-time finishes or attacking crosses, things like that, which is absolutely fine. And that's something that for us he can get. He should be able to get 20 goals a season doing that for us. But last season, for some reason this season, the supply to him wasn't great. We didn't create that many chances for him, and we did ask him to create a lot of chances for himself, and the reality is he wasn't able to do that. You see some of the goals, for example, that Isaac scores this season, like just Solanke's not capable of that. He's not that level of striker. Doesn't mean you need a world-class striker to score 20 goals. You don't. He doesn't have to be world-class to do it if you play to his strengths. We just haven't done that enough. We haven't whipped in enough into the air for him, or enough quality. We haven't created enough cutbacks for him. But also what I would say is, look at the number of goals Brendan scored, and it's, a lot of that, Solanke has to take credit for that as well, because a lot of it is him drawing the attention, and bam, it leaves Brendan free at that far post, because two defenders get drawn to Solanke. So that goal tally from Brendan is not a coincidence, just because Solanke's low. But at the end of the day, we scored him because he scored 19 goals for Bournemouth. If he had 9 goals for Bournemouth, we wouldn't have signed him. That's the truth. So he needs to up that. We need to get him more chances. But we're a better team when he's there, and I think that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, like, when he does get into those positions as well, he can fluff his lines a little bit. So that's another criticism against him. So he definitely needs to improve that. But keep for now, for sure, Dom Solanke. But the thing is, if Solanke has another season that replicates this one next year, I think the question marks will start to come. Next up is Rodrigo Bentancur. I think we're both going to say keep it for Bentancur. Not the greatest season for him. Stop-start with injuries and bans and all that kind of stuff. But look, towards the end of the season, he definitely showed his value to the team. I think we need another player to come in the six that is better than him. But as a squad player, he definitely holds a lot of value within this squad. However, if it is another inconsistent next season, I would say probably sell at the end of next season.
Yeah, I think keep. I think he's a very good player. I think we've seen it at times, how good how good his peak can be. Now he's had a tumultuous 2 years with injuries, bans, stop-start, little injuries. It's just been terrible for him. I think hopefully he's finally getting over it, finally getting some consistency in his game. We're finally starting to see flashes of the best of him. I still think we know he's got a level to go up than we've seen even this season. But I think how he's performed in the Europa League run was really, really good. And I think he deserves a shot of him getting another season, so keep.
Next up is Antonin Kinski. I think obviously it's a keep. Came in January. Whenever he's filled in, there has been some bad games in there and definite goals that he should be keeping out. But very good young keeper, very dependable to be our number 2. And if he can keep going, his development keeps going in the same way, then, he can be number 1 for us one day.
Yeah, for sure. Keep. I think we've got a good, really high potential keeper here. Needs to improve his shot stopping, but in terms of things like braveness coming for crosses, impressive for a young keeper, and obviously his playing out the back is very impressive and confidence for a young keeper. So as soon as he develops a bit more, I think he's going to be a really good option. So hopefully at some point he might be even battling Vicario for that number 1, but obviously Vicario's got the spot for now. But yeah, definitely keep.
Next up is our captain, Son Heung-min. Sonny obviously does have 1 year extension on his contract, yeah, I'm going to say keep. But I would say that next season we need to manage his minutes. And if we do manage his minutes to a good standard, then we can really get the big values out of Sonny, getting him in the right positions, get his scoring tally up more than it was this season, because it's a bit of a poor year in terms of goals for Sonny. But he ends the season with our most assists out of everyone in the whole squad. So definitely, look, he's not the Sonny of a couple of years back, but I feel like if you manage his minutes, you can see a really good level from him.
Yeah, I think for sure keep. Yeah, I think in terms of goal contributions, I think he ends the season with the highest, I think, in all competitions, isn't he? Over 20 again. So I think he's still got the quality. He's still shown what he's capable of. But I agree. I think this season, obviously he's had his injuries, but I think we haven't helped him. Like, we signed Werner, and then we didn't trust Werner, so we had to play Son a lot more. We then signed Tell to play on that left-hand side, and he's flat to deceive. And I just think we need some real support for Sonny on that left-hand side going forward next season. But if we can, balance his minutes out, and when make sure when he's playing he's fresh and at his best, instead of playing when he was tired. And during that injury crisis, it was tough for him as well. When he was playing every minute of every game and felt like he had to step up, it was difficult for him. But I think let him see out the year, have a victory parade for the year, this victory tour, should we say, this season for winning that trophy. I still think he's got a lot to give as well. I still think he's got so much quality. And look, maybe, who knows, maybe if he smashes it out, he could even extend that contract. But for now, I think we plan it out that this is going to be his last year. But you've seen it. How many times have you seen it, like a player in his last year, and when they're fighting for a contract, they really just show a different level to their game, and maybe Sonny can do that.
Yeah, and I back him to do that as well. He's got more than enough quality to do that. So Sonny is keep. Next up is Dane Scarlett. Now, Dane is an interesting one, because poor loan spells for him over the past couple of years. He came back, and I thought in the small amount of game time, he actually showed something. I thought he was decent. In the Europa League against Elfsborg, thought he had a decent game. I think, what was the game where he got that assist? Was it Brentford?
Oh, no, Ipswich.
Ipswich, yeah.
But he did come on against Brentford as well.
Came on against Brentford as well. So I think in the small amount of game time, I actually saw something from Dane, and he seems to be a lot more stocky, a lot more physical now than what he used to be. So I think he can do something at this level, but I just don't know if it's going to be with us. I just don't know what to do with him next season, because he's number 9. Is he going to play for us at number 9 next season? I just can't see it. So is it going to be another loan spell last loan spell to really prove himself, or are we going to sell him? Because I just can't see him sticking around next season.
I agree. I think it's going to be. I think we're probably going to loan him out one more time, just to give him another chance to show what he can do. But the problem is, can't see him getting a Premier League loan. It's going to have to be another Championship, and these Championship loans have just been not good for him at all. He hasn't been able to get into the team for one reason or another. Maybe right,
send that whole squad to West Brom.
Just get West Brom to be Tottenham under 21s. That's what we should do. So I think another loan, and just see if he's capable, what he's capable of. But yeah, look, if a good offer comes in, I wouldn't definitely say no to selling him. But I think, considering I don't think the offers are going to be massive, like I can't see more than 5 million, to be honest. I would push 5 million. I don't think we'd even get that. So if he gets a good loan deal, all of a sudden that value could double if it's really good. So I would loan him again.
Yeah. Next up is Dejan Kulusevski. Obviously, heartbreaker with the injury that he's had this season, because he was having one of, if not his best season in a Spurs shirt, definitely in the early stages of the season. So look, just recover, get refreshed over the summer, and come back and smash it out next season. Decky, definite keep.
Yeah, agreed. How unlucky he was with that injury against Palace. I mean, just before the final, picking up a knee injury from a fair challenge from Guehi that might keep him out potentially for 5 months. We'll have to wait and see how he recovers. But it's heartbreaking for him that he picked up at that moment. First half of the season, we know, pretty much he played 50 games this season. You can pretty much break into 25 game chunks. First 25, by far and away our best player, was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best players in the Premier League, you could even say at that point. Second 25 was not that, and unfortunately he struggled. Obviously, a lot of it's to do with him being overplayed and tiredness, and then obviously coming back from injury and not really hitting the ground running. But barefaced reality is he wasn't very good for those second 25 games, and he struggled a lot, and struggled to get goals and assists. And physically was the biggest thing from shoving players off the ball. He was getting shoved off the ball all of a sudden. So that has to improve. But we know, again, how good he is. And I think, yeah, you got to keep him.
Yeah. Next up is Turbo Timo. And yeah, listen, the most obvious sell or get rid of in the squad. Should never have re-signed him. It was a worse decision. When you're looking to take your attack to the next level and you bring Timo Werner back to the club, it was just a shocking decision all round from Ange, Lange, whoever made the decision to bring him back. Absolutely awful. Ange lost trust and hope and faith in him after shocking performances like Rangers and Tamworth, and we haven't seen him since.
Yeah, get rid. He said he came here to win trophies, and he did that. So fair play to Timo Werner. But I think we've seen enough. I think Ange has seen enough. I think the club have had enough. I've had enough. So Timo is going back to Leipzig.
Yeah. Next up is Brandon Austin, third choice keeper at the club. And I think it's just going to stay that way. He ain't going to get a loan spell. We ain't going to sell him. So I think just keep him around as third choice. And, you know, when he stepped in this season, I thought he did really well. So credit to him.
Fair play. If he's happy to stay a third choice, despite having some good games, then I'm happy to keep him there. And we're going to need him for the homegrown quota. It works for all parties at the moment. And, surprised a lot of people with his performances this season. So fair play to him.
Next up is Brian Hill. Look, this is going to be an obvious sell, but it is going to be hard to sell with the injury that he does have. So, look, regardless, he ain't going to be in the squad next season, whatever happens. Mm-hmm. So we're just going to have to try and find a buyer for him.
Yeah, whether we can or not, he's not going to be in the squad. So I would sell. I'll try and sell. That's what I'll try and do if we can. But, yeah, as you say, he's got a bad injury, so it's going to be difficult.
Next up is Yang Min Hyuk. Went to QPR on loan this season. Decent loan for him. First year in English football. Got some goal contributions behind him. He showed some value, you know, quick, pacey, trickery. You know, he showed that he can definitely compete at that level. So I'd like to see him do a whole season at that level. So I'd say loan.
Another loan deal. I don't think he's shown yet on that loan spell he's ready for Premier League football. So I think Yang needs to get up to speed even more with English football. He showed flashes, which is good, but it's just not enough. He just showed flashes in the Championship, so have to loan him out again.
Alejo Veliz up next. With Alejo, I don't know what to say about Alejo because it's just shocking loan after shocking loan. Another one at Espanyol. He was given the number 9 shirt. A lot of trust was put in him. And he just didn't seem to pull up any trees by any stretch of the imagination. He scored a hat-trick in the Copa del Rey, I think it was, against like 4th or 5th division side. But apart from that, he's done nothing. He scored like right at the beginning of the season. He was like crying in his interview after the game. But yeah, it's got to be try find him another club, try and sell him.
Yeah, I think so, unfortunately, for Vallejo. I had high hopes for him when he first signed. He's still young, so it's hard. It's not to say this guy's finished or anything. I just don't see a future for him right now, considering how all the loans have been and what we kind of require in the first team. Unless he's happy to go on loan again. But again, when he left, was it Boca when he signed him from? No, when was it?
Rosario.
When he left there, he was a real up-and-coming striker in that league. I think he scored 12 league goals. And his career's really stagnated. And I just don't think he's going to want that to carry on for too much longer. And I think maybe these loan deals where he's not really settled or whatever's happening, maybe isn't helping him. So I think maybe a permanent move might be the best course of action.
Yeah. Next up is Manor Solomon. Unbelievable season this year. 23 goal contributions in the Championship for Manor. Probably the best season of his career. I kind of feel like with Manor, the best... I don't know, man. I feel like he could do a job for us next season because I look at the options that we have with Tell and Odobert, and I think he can probably have more an impact of these players next season where we're going to need high impact. However, I still think we need to bring in a tried and tested player that is going to absolutely smash it next season. And is he that player? I'm not sure. I'm willing to give him till pre-season to prove himself to Ange, and if Ange wants to keep him around, I'll be delighted with it. However, I do think we're going to end up selling him.
Yeah, I just think it's a good opportunity to get some decent money for a player who I just don't really believe we believe is ever going to be our first choice winger. As much as maybe he could be a good player for us, but is he ever going to be that player that's going to take us on to the next level? I think the jury's out on that. If we have sellers, he's had a great season in the Championship. I think we get a bit of money for him and we reinvest it. But it is a shame because he never really got a fair chance at Tottenham. And I do feel letting him go, I feel a bit bad for him that he came here with such high hopes and he's probably going to leave without really having a fair chance, without any fault of his own, really. But I just think it's probably for the squad the right thing to do.
I wouldn't be against keeping him, though. That's the thing. I wouldn't be against it. But I just feel like what the club are going to do is probably sell him. Next up is Ashley Phillips, which is another interesting one because he's had really decent loan spells, really decent. Another one this year at Stoke. I feel like he needs to move up a level now. I feel like he needs to get a Premier League loan because you're looking at the defensive options that we have with Romero. If he sticks around with Danso, like he's not going to get consistent football here and knock them off their perches, whether it be as backup or as starting at right centre back. So I believe in his talents. I believe in his qualities, and I think he can be a top level centre back in a few years to come. I'm not sure if he's there just yet, so I would like to see him move at a Premier League loan or a top caliber league loan.
I wouldn't mind potentially keeping Phillips and Vuskovic around for pre-season and maybe just keeping one of them in the first team squad and loaning the other and seeing if any of them are ready, and whoever's more ready right now you can keep. But if you're saying right now what do I think? I think probably another loan deal in the Premier League. He's had 2 loan deals in the Championship now. He's played for Blackburn as well in the Championship. So he's played for 3 clubs. Very experienced for a young player. Was he 20 or 19?
He's had a mad amount.
Over 100 appearances?
Yeah, he has. He's had a mad amount of appearances, like professional appearances for a guy of his age.
So that's really, really great. And that's going to stand him in good stead.
He's a unit as well.
Yeah, so I think a Premier League loan is in order for him. See how he does at that level. And then maybe a Premier League loan with a break clause in January, potentially. Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like that. I like that, particularly if we get some injuries as well.
Yeah.
It'll be good value for us. And I thought we should have brought him back in this January just gone by. Like, we had so many injuries, he probably would have played.
Yeah.
But look, it is what it is. Next is Alfie Devine. He had a loan spell at Westerlo. I think it was a bit up and down from Alfie, the loan spell at Westerlo. It was definitely out of the two, him and Vuskovic. Vuskovic was the one that was getting the consistent praise. But, he probably had a good year for his development, playing consistent football. What do we do with him? I think.
How old is he now? Must be.
I think he's about 21.
Yeah, he's not too old, is he?
I think he's about 21, Alfie Devine. And I think, when we saw him in pre-season, he was very impressive.
20, still 20.
20.
Okay.
So very impressive in pre-season, in and amongst, the first team squad. He definitely stood out. So, but I don't know, maybe another loan spell, bring him back to English football. I think higher than the Championship, though.
Yeah, Premier League.
I think I'd like to see him in the Premier League, maybe for one of the promoted clubs, a Leeds, a Sunderland, someone like that, a Burnley even. But yeah, I just think one more year on loan. I believe in his quality so much.
The only problem for me is I just don't know if any Premier League clubs are going to take him on loan. That's the only thing. Not to say I don't think he's good enough. I just think when they look at him, they think, we got to snap this guy up on loan, or is it going to be we're not sure if he's actually going to make the impact or not. I think a Championship club for sure. Has he had a Championship loan yet? He played Plymouth, didn't he?
No, yeah, he played for Plymouth.
He was quite good for Plymouth, wasn't he?
Well, he got 0 goals and 2 assists. I think he was, again, hit and miss a bit for Plymouth.
I think another Championship loan, get him playing consistently again in England. I think it's probably best. If we can get a Premier League loan, then great. I'm not convinced that he's definitely going to get one though.
He got 6 goals this year for Westerlo, which is decent.
Yeah, good. In Belgian league, and I know Belgian league's not the top league, but one of the best teams are pretty good. Club Brugge are decent. The top teams there are pretty good, and it is men's football, so he's shown a good that he can definitely play at a high level. But
he's another one as well that I want to look at pre-season as well. So Alfie Devine loan. Next up, who have we got? Next up, we got George Abbott. So George Abbott has had a fantastic season for Notts County. He got their Young Player of the Year, I believe. He got Goal of the Season of the EFL as well. Such a talent, actually, this George Abbott, and a lot of people sleeping on him. Not many people mentioning him with the likes of Jamie Donnelly and Josh Keeley and all these kind of players coming through the academy. And he was captain of the under-21 side at such a young age as well when they did go and win what they won. So with George Abbott, I think he just needs to keep progressing up the levels, to be honest. So another loan spell for him,
Yeah.
just at a high level.
I mean, championship loan, hopefully. Smashed it in League Two. Brilliant for him. Consistent. Apparently, it's very consistent this season. But yeah, go to the championship, smash out there, and who knows what the future holds for him. But I don't think he's ready to come back to the Tottenham team, first team right now. So a championship loan.
Yeah, they hold him in such high regard within the club as well, George Abbott. Leadership ability as well as talent. So big up to him for having such a strong season. Next up is Jamie Donnelly, another one who's had such a strong season for Leyton Orient, making it all the way to the playoff final. Step one game away from the championship, which has been an unbelievable season for Leyton Orient, who were tipped to potentially be in a relegation battle before the season started. And him and Josh Keeley made such a difference to that team. And yeah, I believe in this guy's talent so much. The year before, he was a star and a standout in the under-21 side. And yeah, he needs to move up a level as well. I would even say, if he's very lucky at a lower-end Premier League, but I can see it championship.
Yeah, I can't envisage anyone but the bottom of the three promoted teams going for him in the Premier League. I think he'll be lucky to get anywhere higher than that. But I think it'll be fantastic for him. He can. But I think more likely a top-end championship team. And look, he showed last season, even against Premier League opposition, against Man City, the goal he scored in the Cup. What a talent that guy is. What a wonder of a left foot he has. And I want to see it get put to good use at a higher level and see what he can do. I do think this guy, I'm really hopeful this guy one day is going to be a Tottenham first team player. I just don't think right now, just yet.
Yeah, I would say like a couple of years' time, you know. He's got the world at his feet, Jamie Donnelly, that's for sure. Next up is Alfie Dorrington. He as well has had a successful loan spell, won the Cup with Aberdeen in Scotland.
Did he start the final?
I'm pretty sure he did, but he was a regular starter for them, so I don't see why he wouldn't. Let me just check if he did start the final. I'm pretty sure he did. Yeah, he did. 80 minutes he played.
There you go.
And, you know, they beat Celtic, which is no mean feat in the Cup final. So, yeah, he had a strong season. He did get sent off against Celtic 2 games ago. Played 12 games, scored a goal. He only went there in January, so... Yeah, what do we do with that? Dorrington, another loan spell back in English football, because he's just been... This season was all about recovering and getting consistent game time because he had a horror injury. But, yeah, probably another loan spell, maybe in the Championship.
I think so. He struggled for one reason or another to get English loans this year, but...
Probably because of the injury.
Yeah, so now he's proven his fitness. I think now the Championship loan is high hopes for him in terms of a big centre-back who's actually quite good on the ball, and I know there's been a lot of talk about him in our academy, but now we've got Vuskovic and Phillips. Obviously, the talk about Dorrington is kind of quieting down a bit, but maybe a good Championship loan can get the hype back up.
Yeah. And who do we have next? And lastly is the man, Josh Keeley. What a season he's had for Leyton Orient. Even scored a goal to get his side into the next round of the Cup, which was unbelievable. And I think they voted that as moment of the FA Cup as well. He got Leyton Orient's goal of the season, and in that was he was going up against Jamie Donnelly's goal from the halfway line against Manchester City. So yeah, they love him down there. They absolutely love him at Orient. He's showed such good levels of goalkeeping, and even in that Man City game, he was unbelievable, wasn't he? Shot after shot after shot, he was keeping out. I believe he had a bit of a horror in the cup final, in the playoff cup final.
Yeah.
Dropped a bit of a clanger, but look, doesn't take away from the season that he had. He's been phenomenal, and I would say, yeah, another loan spell, get him playing at a better level.
I think Championship loan spell, yeah. I just can't see him being a Premier League #1 for next season. I just can't see a Premier League team take him on loan. So I think a Championship loan spell, get him up a league, or whether it be maybe a top league somewhere else, but maybe a Championship loan spell will be best. We've got Kinski at the moment, we've got Vicario. There's not really any room for him unless he wants to take the Whiteman role being 4th choice, but I don't think that's good for him. So
well, I think if he comes in, I think he's probably... Do you not think he'd be 3rd choice above Brandon?
Not necessarily. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Well, Brandon's been quite good when he's played, and he's played it. But yeah, it probably would be. It'll probably be battling out that 3rd choice place, I guess. But I just don't think that's any good for his development.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see him in the Championship. Maybe another one for West Brom. So that is our keep, loan or sell. Let us know in the comments.
Well, we didn't have Vuskovic, did we? But
we didn't have Vuskovic, but I think Vuskovic is another loan for me.
Another loan, yeah. He said himself, didn't he? He thinks probably with Romero and Van der Ven there, maybe he's going to go on loan. But maybe if Romero leaves, maybe there's something to be had. But yeah, I think there's another one. Take a look at pre-season, but I think I wouldn't mind one of Phillips staying, one of him or Phillips. I think.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think in an ideal scenario, probably loan. I think just to keep furthering his development.
But back in
keep
England,
smashing it up.
yeah.
He keeps going up the levels and keeps smashing it. So I think just carry on doing that. So yeah, that is our keep, loan or sell. Let us know in the comment section below your thoughts regarding that. And if you disagreed with us, do let us know and tell us what you disagreed with. But
I'm just looking. There's Ali Gold's just done an article about this the CONMEBOL